Hello, I want to talk to you about Genesis for chapter 6 to chapter 10. Yeah, it's all about that raven that was released from the window of the ark in Genesis. Do you know that in the ark of the window, when Moses released the raven, it is also considered a black raven? So what happened was I was thinking when I wrote the song Blackbird about that raven. Yeah, I was thinking about Noah, but I was thinking about the pandemic and I was thinking about that raven. And I said, I'm going to make a pandemic album called Blackbird. And when I thought about Noah, I did, because I saw that blackbird out there on top of that utility pole. And I was a patient in a hospital. And I was looking out my window from my bed as a patient, and I said, oh, wow, man. I said, I see about Moses, but I see about that pandemic. There's so much death going around in the world today because of the pandemic. And so I'm going to call it a pandemic album because I want to encourage people to live and have hope. So I wrote Blackbird. And when I think about Noah and that raven in Genesis, the book of Genesis, and you start reading at Genesis chapter 6 to Genesis chapter 10, do you know Moses was a man of God and very, very highly looked up to? And I thought about Moses a lot, and I still do. Even back in the early 90s, I thought about Moses, and I thought about the book of Genesis too, many times. And I said, when I created Heaven's Righteous Miracle Ministry in 1992, I was 19 years old. And I said, I want a rainbow as the symbol for my ministry, Heaven's Righteous Miracle Ministry. And when I named Heaven's Righteous Miracle Ministry, I wanted to do end-time prophecies. So what I did was that. And I still do. I teach on prophecies and revelations and interpretations in the Bible about end times. Do you know that flood in the world was over wickedness in the world? And when God destroyed the earth, it was the end times. It was the end of the world when the flood took over the world and took out everybody. And death was in the whole world. And God decided to let people live, and it was Noah and his family and all these animals because they were holy. Do you know holiness kept them alive, but wickedness killed them? So the whole world was understanding that God wanted them dead for wickedness. So they died, and it was the end of the world for real. So all the holy people that lived did. But when you go to Genesis chapter 10, you'll find out that Noah had many generations after him in a new world, a new hope, a new future, a new beginning, new generations, a new life, a new beginning, a new world, a new life, a new hope, a new beginning, and new life, in many generations of Noah. To tell you that we are the Noah family in a new world after the flood, because it was the end of the world when the flood took over the world and death was in all the world and everybody died except for Noah and his family and these animals in that ark. Do you know that we are the Noah's family? We're the generations of Noah, that we are in a new world, a new beginning, a new hope, a new life, a new future, a new beginning. Be encouraged, because I want you to look in Genesis from chapter 6 to chapter 10 to understand the story of Noah's Ark. When you look in it, I want you to remember the song Blackbird I wrote, because it was me inspired by the story of Noah's Ark and Genesis. When I look back at the raven that was released from the window, he was on his way to go discover dry land. So he went to go discover dry land. So that was a miracle, because the world was under a flood and everybody had death in the whole world. It was in the air, in the ground, in the water. And then there was dry land. Do you know that that dove was released? But I don't want to talk to you about the dove that was released. I want to talk to you about the raven in Noah, in chapter 6 through chapter 10 in Genesis. When you look at the raven, he was out to discover dry land. He was released from Moses out of that window of that ark. Do you know it's a miracle to have dry land? It is miracles to have dry land because it was the end of the world and it was a massive world catastrophe of water covering the earth. And do you know how long it covered the earth? I look in Genesis and find out. I do know, but why don't you look to find out for yourself? Then you'll understand about that raven looking for dry land in the book of Genesis when he was released from Moses from that window in the ark. But I wanted to talk to you about a new world, a new beginning, new life, new hope, new generations, because we are the Noah's family. Everybody, I want you to remember the song Blackbird and remember that raven in the book of Genesis, because it is the story of Noah's Ark. So when I sing this song Blackbird, I want you to know that it's a pandemic song that I've written based on holiness, based on Moses and the ark, based on the raven, based on everything that's going on in the pandemic in the world today. And there was death everywhere, just like it was in the flood, just like it is today in a pandemic. But I want you to know that there is hope out there. There is hope out there. It's a new beginning, a new world, new generations, a new world, a new beginning, new life. Be encouraged because of a new world. Because at the end of the world, everybody's saying, I think it's the end of the world. Well, why don't you go back to Genesis and think about the end of the world because of the flood and see how things turned about. There was dry land because of that raven. So when he went out to find a miracle, he did, and it was dry land. If you look in the story of Genesis of Noah's Ark, you'll find out that birds are used as a sign, like doves and ravens and all kinds of birds. But when you pray, I talk to God about the birds because God uses birds. Always look for a miracle because God sends signs. And if you look throughout the Bible, he says he sends signs and miracles. So remember, my name is Maritha Church, and I became photo fast in summer of 1989 on a vodka whiskey, my photographer. And I was Sweet 16 in 1989, and I became photo fast model. And I wanted to tell you, I created Heaven's Righteous Miracle Ministry in 1992 at 19 years old. Became a model at 16. So what I wanted to tell you was the story in Genesis of Noah's Ark. And I want you to hear the song Blackbird. So it goes like this. Blackbird, fly away, blackbird, no, don't stay. So let thy angel wings fly you away, so lightly, softly away. For I was saved by his loving grace, and today there's no death here to stay. So go on, blackbird, fly away, blackbird, fly away, blackbird. For I got my hands held high, for holy is his name, with holy oils running down my face. O kingdom come here to stay. Blackbird, fly away. Fly away.